Potato.
This afternoon,
Set an ambo for me.
the dramatic moment an officer's knocked down at an Adelaide RBT. New signs of life at Adelaide cafes as restrictions are eased. D-Day for the Crows, the latest word on their likely penalty for the Barossa breach. Shocking new details emerge about the behaviour of the Porsche driver involved in Melbourne's horror freeway crash. Plus, Danny, the clumsy koala's road to recovery, now a picture of good health.
Live from Adelaide, 7 News with Rosanna Mangiarelli.
Good afternoon. 7 News has obtained unbelievable police video of the shocking moment an unlicensed driver recklessly struck down an officer while fleeing a random breath testing station. Deanna Williams has our story.
The dramatic incident is a stark reminder of the dangers faced by police on the front line every day.
Go! Get a fleet! Go a fleet, you drag me off the road, Mick. Set an ambo for me. Got one coming. Is it your leg? Where's my leg?
A routine random breath testing station at Mile End in the early hours of New Year's Day 2019. Police flagged down a white Mazda sedan, but the driver refuses to stop. Senior Constable Samuel Petts is seen flying over the bonnet. He reaches in to try to take the keys, but falls to the ground and is run over and dragged along, suffering serious leg injuries. The driver, Armand Quencia, speeds off with Officer Petts' colleagues in hot pursuit. The drama was captured on police dashcam and a body-worn camera. Quencia was arrested the next day. The court heard the pastry chef and triathlete panicked because he didn't have a licence.
22-year-old men sometimes don't engage brain. Clearly, he's incredibly sorry.
Brain fade or not, prosecutors are urging the judge to send a strong message when Quencia is sentenced on Friday that police must be protected.
Life as we knew it is starting to return, with the hospitality industry allowed limited outdoor dining. But the Premier's ruled out any alcohol service until June the 8th, despite other states taking the lead. Mike Smithson has the latest.
Lifting restrictions on outdoor dining was always going to be a careful journey. Today's lunchtime trade here in Rundle Street was sluggish, to say the least.
And a lunchtime tipple wasn't allowed.
Normally we would. Nice South Australian red.
Didn't really matter.
It did to him.
Yeah.
The Premier enjoyed a sit-down coffee. Greater public numbers and alcohol service are still out of bounds until June 8. Unlike the West, we're slower to act.
We'd love to do it earlier, but at this stage what we're opening up for is a bit of outdoor dining, which might be linked to somebody that's doing takeaway.
That inconsistency with what's occurring in Western Australia does raise some legitimate questions within that industry.
This is not good for South Australia if everyone's just shutting their doors. We're going to keep moving forward.
Around Adelaide's popular venues, everyone was playing by the rules.
It's been pretty tough. In terms of turnover, we're down 80%, and just the vibe's been down a bit, not having people seated in the cafe.
It feels more special than taking takeaway home and sitting on the couch.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's much nicer being able to sit out here, especially on such a nice morning.
But ground rules apply, sanitising everything to cope with a fast turnaround of customers.
At the moment we're taking bookings only, and they're for 45 minutes.
Libraries are also allowed 10 people at a time.
We have people for whom the library is really their second home.
It's something I've missed a real lot.
Let's just hope by next month there'll be a greater appetite all round.
And retailers have followed suit, with dozens of shops throwing open their doors for the first time in almost 2 months. Elspeth Hussey joins us live. And Elle, we're being told to prepare for a very different shopping experience.
We are, Rosanna. Here at Kathmandu, for example, the change rooms are closed, cash is banned, and there's a very strict customer limit in place. The outdoor retailer is one of many who've taken the leap over the past few days and reopened. Others include Saba, Forever New and Gazman, while at Burnside, the popular Zara welcomed back customers again today, along with Witness Shoes and DeCuba, who reopened their Rundle Street store as well. What have you been buying today?
We went to the Rebel, Nightcap and the Thomas. We are so happy.
Definitely nice to see some shops and some restaurants opening up.
I'm happy because I can go and spend money that I haven't spent in like a month.
Apple, for example, they're taking temperatures going in, Mecca are taking temperatures and giving out face masks.
An announcement about Myer's plans is thought to be imminent. It's already opened stores again in New South Wales and in Queensland. But beauty appointments and bra and shoe fittings are off limits for now. Many stores have installed sneeze guards here at the till, and sanitiser is on hand for shoppers. And they certainly do appear to be re-emerging from that long hibernation. It certainly doesn't feel like we're in the middle of a pandemic here in Rundle Mall today. Rosanna.
Thank you, Elle. Tourism operators across the state are rolling out the red carpet, desperate to once again attract visitors now travel bans have eased. In an extraordinary move, one Port Lincoln-based business will even come to you. Tim Yateman explains.
If you want to dive with sharks in South Australia, normally you'd have to travel to Port Lincoln, but that's all about to change.
Soon you'll only have to get yourself to Glenelg. Desperate to be back in business after coronavirus, Port Lincoln-based Adventure Bay Charters will now come to you.
We'll actually drive to Adelaide and pick you up. So in essence, we're doing takeaway shark cage diving.
From the Glenelg Marina, the boat will travel back to the Eyre Peninsula, where customers will spend 2 days at sea exploring the region and its famous wildlife.
Jump on with us and we'll take you out to where the sharks are. We'll go swim with the seals.
But if diving with great whites isn't for you, how about a stay at a South Australian caravan park? With COVID travel restrictions eased and intrastate tourism encouraged, parks across the state are bracing for an influx of visitors.
The phone's been ringing off the hook and we're really excited about welcoming people back. But obviously we're doing it in a safe environment.
For Pete and Joy Bennett, the lifting of restrictions means their Around Australia road trip can continue, at least until they get to the border.
It does get a bit tiring just sitting in one spot, particularly when we're used to moving around a fair bit.
Today there were signs of life in Victor Harbour as travellers are welcomed back to the region. Caravan parks there too, already proving popular with tourists.
We've got lots more to see, and the kids are rapt to have everything back open.
While allowing travel within SA is good news for the tourism industry, for many operators it won't be business as usual until interstate and international borders reopen.
Turning to breaking news now, the AFL has just revealed its sanctions for the Crows after breaking the league's strict COVID training regulations. Let's go live to Theo Duropoulos. And Theo, what have they copped?
Rosanna, just a couple of minutes ago, actually, the news came through that the club has escaped an enormous fine. Of course, there'll be no penalties for draft picks, but the players themselves have received a one-game suspended sentence. That's all 16 players who were up in the Barossa Valley. Ben Hart, the assistant coach looking over the training session, seems to have paid the biggest price. He's been effectively stood down and will not be able to be in touch with any of those players or anyone at the Crows for the next 6 weeks. Now, it was a little bit of a surprise that it took the AFL a couple of days to make this announcement after players were caught on Thursday training in a group a little bigger than allowed. Adelaide's power brokers have put their hand up admitting the club did the wrong thing and they'd accept any penalty handed down. Fortunately for Adelaide, it hasn't been a giant amount of money or premiership points or indeed valuable draft picks. Meanwhile, Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews has given the AFL the green light to ramp up training. Clubs now have permission to gather in groups of 10, the same already allowable here in South Australia.
Training is up and running again, that paves the way for the AFL and other codes to make announcements. So training resuming paves the way for footy to be back, and I think we all want that.
So it's now up to the AFL to lift its training restrictions, but the league is waiting on players around the country to finish their 2-week isolation period. Most of them at this stage are around halfway through. The AFL is going to make an announcement about its return to play a little later on this week and recapping a one-game suspended sentence for every player up in the Barossa and a 6-week ban for AFL coach Ben Hart. Back to you, Rosie.
All right, thank you very much, Theo. Economists are predicting the biggest budget deficit in Australian history this year as the economic consequences of the coronavirus are revealed. Tim Lester has more from Canberra.
Had the plan lasted, Treasurer Frydenberg would have delivered the budget here tomorrow and the first surplus since the Howard era. Enter COVID-19. It has belted the budget back to October and the surplus back to who knows when.
We still have a long way to go on this, and I think it's quite dangerous, to assert that this is all over.
A virus warning. Prime Minister Morrison insists COVID-19 is still a threat to health and the federal budget. Deloitte Access Economics forecasts this year's planned $5 billion surplus will finish as a $143 billion deficit. A brief nightmare? No, next year will be almost as big. It shrinks the following 2 years, but even at the end of the so-called forward estimates is still $33 billion short of a balanced bottom line.
People worry about those big deficits. They're good news, right? That's the budget taking care of families. The budget's acting as a giant shock absorber for the economy.
This as Labor's Anthony Albanese calls for the government to use the crisis for big reforms. He's told his party room the Prime Minister should seize the moment for change.
This is a once-in-a-political lifetime event, and it creates a once-in-a-century opportunity to renew and revitalise the Federation.
And Parliament sits here tomorrow with the Treasurer to deliver an economic update.
The Porsche driver involved in Melbourne's Eastern Freeway crash has made a bid for freedom. Richard Pusey's lawyer argued his client only filmed the dying officers because he was in shock. Chanel Vella has more.
Richard Pusey can't be held accountable for killing 4 police officers, but a psychologist's report that was meant to try and help him get out of jail has instead revealed that he's fantasised about killing people. Police say in the past Pusey has allegedly harassed bank staff, been kicked off a Tiger Airways flight, engaged in road rage incidents and threatened to drive down Burke Street in what police believe could have been a James Gargasoulis-style attack. The lead investigator telling the magistrate he takes a disturbing pleasure in causing others fear and discomfort. His alleged failure to render assistance to the 4 police officers after they'd been struck was argued at length. His lawyer asking what else could he have done. The lead investigator replied he could be administering CPR. Well, you'd have to be trained in CPR. That's when the officer replied, your client is a registered nurse. In arguing that he was a risk to the public if released, his lawyer defended his client's actions of filming officers for 3 minutes after the crash. He may have been in shock and still traumatised. People react to trauma in different ways. The officer replied, yes, but they don't walk around filming and zooming in. His conduct in taking those videos and photos doesn't say shock. The magistrate will now go through several reports from Pusey's psychologist. She'll make a decision on his bail on Thursday.
Former AFL coach Dean Laidley is on his way to a rehab centre after convincing a magistrate to grant him bail. It's been revealed he has a drug habit that dates back to his coaching days. Cameron Bode has the latest.
A change in fortunes for Dean Laidley. The latest turn in his tumultuous life has gone in his favour. He's been granted bail. The 53-year-old was supported in court by his son Kane and a high-powered legal team. The court was told that Laidley had left a former partner petrified and fearful. The conflict had intensified immediately prior to Laidley's arrest 9 days ago. Photos taken of him in custody wearing a wig and women's clothing created a police scandal, with 4 officers stood down over the leaking of those photos. Laidley will spend the next 28 days at a rehab facility where he'll be treated for issues including his sexual identity, drug addiction and dealing with stress. Long-term issues led Dean Laidley into the serious trouble he's now facing. The Melbourne Magistrates Court was told that the 53-year-old has had a drug habit for 8 years. That covers part of his time in the AFL as an assistant coach. But his footy connections also worked in his favour. The likes of Dennis Pagan, Mark Williams, Brent Harvey and Wayne Schwass provided character references. The AFL Players Association will also cover the costs of his rehab.
And ahead on 7's afternoon news, Messenger newspapers up for sale. Also, open inspections resume. A look at some of the quirkier homes on the market. Boris Johnson accused of mixed messaging as coronavirus restrictions are eased in the UK. The Queen begins what could be her longest ever absence from public life. Why there are fears of a fresh wave of COVID cases in China. And later, from this to this, Danny the koala's remarkable journey back to full health.
I'm assigning you to the Home Secretary.
Very good, Mum.
I don't need you to vote for me, only to protect me. This is a very dangerous politician. He's been an inside man all along.
Bodyguard coming to 7.
An order for Lego. Someone's in for some fun. Bet you love toys. You're childish.
Oh, I'm not.
Protect your home with roller shutters from Australian Outdoor Living. For a limited time, you'll enjoy free installation on our entire range of quality Australian-made roller shutters. Save money on heating and cooling bills. Control outside light and noise any time of day. And feel safe and secure whether you're at home or away. Make the smart choice with roller shutters from Australian Outdoor Living.
Australian Outdoor Living.
Ours is a world on demand. So why should the way we study be any different? UniSA Online. Apply now.
With an interest rate this low, your home loan will want to fix itself. Get a better fixed rate home loan from Police Credit Union. Call, visit a branch or apply online.
Today we'll be offering... They're gone. What do you mean they're gone? The snacks. They're gone. Missing. Well, they have to be here somewhere. They're not here. They can't just get up and walk away.
All right, only 13 more hours to go.
New M&M's Mint. In stores now.
At Coles, we're helping lower the cost of dinner with some of the key ingredients for delicious slow cooker beef with cheesy dumplings. Like Coles no added hormones gravy beef down to $15 a kilo. Save $3. Coles real beef stock 1 litre, just $1.90 every day. And salted butter 250 grams, $2.80 every day. Find this recipe and more at coles.com.au. Coles, helping you lower the cost of dinner. Good things, great value.
Here's to the quitters. He's a quitter. So is she. And her. That's right. They, along with thousands of other Australians, have quit smoking thanks to the help of Nicorette Quick Mist. It starts to relieve cravings from 30 seconds, making you 2.5 times more likely to quit. Let's do something amazing. Get Nicorette Quick Mist for a great price at Chemist Warehouse.
Woolworths online shopping is back for all customers. We have thousands of extra delivery and pickup windows now open to serve even more customers. Visit woolworths.com.au and start shopping today.
The world's most exotic fragrances are made by nature. That's why we've created Botanica fragrances, infused with natural ingredients that are responsibly sourced. Botanica by Airwick.
The Australian Outdoor Living sale is on now. Be quick to secure a custom pergola, patio or deck. Extend your living space outdoors while increasing the value of your home. Transform and extend your home today.
After 6 weeks, the real estate industry is relieved to welcome back open inspections from today, and agents are especially keen to show off some unusual gems that have hit the market. Tim Noonan has the story.
Here's an interesting one you might have missed in lockdown. I shot Lauren. Game's up for these guys. But there's still a lot of fun to be had in here. It's the Prince of Party Pads in Port Adelaide with a 3-storey modern house attached. They're asking most of $1 million for this one. It worked well for Lauren's 18th and for countless rowdy crowds. Great when there's a gang, but for empty nesters with a shedding dog?
It's a little bit too big. 800 square metres of vacuuming is just a touch on the excessive side.
There's interest. One wants to turn it into an art gallery cafe, another a mechanics workshop, also a family with teenagers. Down the road, a converted church. Save your secrets for the confessional. It's completely open plan. The main bedroom's an offering on the altar where the Rosewater congregation prayed each weekend a century ago. These days, after a 6-week break, they come for open inspections.
From a boom in January, February, the first 3 weeks in March, and then it just completely fizzled.
The only bathroom is an unholy hike from the main bedroom on a cold winter's morning, but at least it's private. The owners are asking most of $500,000, and there's an offer on the table.
A single lady from the hills.
So there's a couple of interesting places back on the market. Your shot.
Not bad at all. Now, South Australia's messenger newspapers could soon have a new owner, with News Corp Australia looking to offload them. The media giant is in talks with Australian Community Media to sell more than 100 community and regional papers. The community papers have been a source of suburban news in SA for almost 60 years. Last week, News Corp's parent company posted a $1.5 billion loss for the March quarter. Turning overseas, and British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has been accused of mixed messaging as he announced the easing of coronavirus lockdown restrictions. In a televised address, he insisted public health must come before the economy. Hugh Whitfeld has more.
Millions across Britain tuned in to primetime TV to watch a 14-minute address from Boris Johnson as he laid out what he described as a, quote, first sketch of a roadmap to lifting the lockdown. But it's not being lifted just yet. The Prime Minister saying, quote, it is not the time to simply end the lockdown this week. But there's been some confusion about what exactly Boris Johnson is trying to get across in terms of his message. He is now encouraging people to return to work if necessary, if they can no longer work from home, but they can't catch public transport. Shops have to remain closed. They may be able to reopen in June, but that is if everything goes to plan, and that's at the earliest. Schools may return in June, but again, that's if everything goes to plan. Pubs will have to stay shut until at least July.
Throughout this period of the next 2 months, we will be driven not by mere hope or economic necessity. We're going to be driven by the science, the data, and public health.
More than 32,000 people have now been killed by coronavirus across the UK. Thousands are still testing positive every day. The country is facing its worst economic downturn in 300 years, and there is a lack of clarity in terms of a message from Downing Street. Boris Johnson has dropped the stay-at-home message. It is now stay alert, and there's discord among British leaders. The Scottish First Minister Nicola Sturgeon said people in Scotland should ignore that message from London and that they should remain staying at home. It's only now that Britain says it will force people travelling in from overseas to quarantine for 2 weeks, but those measures won't begin until June, and they won't include people coming in from France.
And the Queen has withdrawn from official duties indefinitely after receiving advice to protect her from coronavirus. She will stay in isolation with Prince Philip at Windsor Castle in what's expected to be her longest absence from public life during her 68-year reign. Buckingham Palace will also be closed over the European summer for the first time in nearly 3 decades. Chinese authorities fear a fresh wave of COVID-19 infections after the first case in more than a month in the virus epicentre, Wuhan. The country has also experienced its first double-digit increase in cases in 10 days, with 14 new patients in 24 hours. Now, just last week, health officials had announced every province was at a low risk of new cases, with no new deaths reported for nearly a month. And zookeepers at Prague Zoo have been seeing double after the arrival of the second baby elephant in just 6 weeks. The newborn weighs 124 kilos and is a half-sister to another calf born at the zoo in March. Keepers say mum Janita is doing well, with both baby elephants still yet to be named. Prague Zoo has only just reopened to the public after coronavirus restrictions forced it to close. Thank you. And now let's check in with Nikki on what's coming up in sport. Nikki.
Well, Rosanna, as we touched on earlier, assistant coach Ben Hart has copped the brunt of the Crows' punishment for breaching the AFL's training protocols. Also ahead, Port Adelaide chairman David Koch admits he went a bit too far, accusing Mick Malthouse of being a racist as the Power defends its annual China game. And South Korea's top flight football is back, and this player made the most of the worldwide attention, scoring one of the more impressive goals you'll see. We'll have all that and lots more in sport, Rosanna.
Oh, we'll see you then. Thank you, Nikki. Also ahead on 7's Afternoon News, Australian scientists make a breakthrough detecting cancers before a patient even has symptoms. Tributes for a man who changed our thinking about the importance of heritage, how you can use the COVID crisis to cut your credit card bill. Also, why go to the skate park when you can cut loose at home? And the controversial artist looking for Aussies to strip down for his latest project.
Crisis financial stress. The rush on Afterpay to cover essentials. But there's a downside. We investigate the safest options on Sunrise tomorrow.
Someone's saving on kitchen stuff from eBay.
Yeah, that's where I get all my essentials from. Just magically turns up on my door.
Ooh. And how do you think that happens?
I don't know.
You wash loads, but do you ever wash your washing machine? Every load leaves behind grime and, what's that smell? Pino Clean Washing Machine Cleaner removes 99.9% of germs, leaving it clean and fresh for longer. It's not clean unless it's Pino Clean.
Scores are level, so it's still anybody's game. There's the tap, puts it out, sells the candy, heads into it open, goal, and drops it! That's gotta hurt. That's the stuff nightmares are made of.
Come on, everyone!
Donate some of your data to kids who need it most and power their potential.
Oh, how good's this? We'd be so happy.
Yeah. I need years to save for a deposit.
No, you won't.
Whoa. Yeah, I'm you. 12 months from now. And guess what? It's ours.
But how?
You talk to Homestart. With their lower upfront costs, saving enough to buy a new home was actually easy.
Sweet.
Great, but where's future me?
With a smaller deposit, Homestart could get you into your own home sooner.
Babe?
Muscle and osteopain can really tie you down. That pain is caused by inflammation. Nurofen helps reduce inflammation and relieve osteo and muscle pain for up to 8 hours. Break free with Nurofen.
Every day, we work to make our networks stronger and more reliable. So even when we can't be close, we can still be connected together.
One look at South Australia's CTP choices shows that SGIC wears the state colours on their sleeve. The wonders of data, eh? Choose SGIC, helping South Australians since 1972.
If I could give them 1 million stars, I would.
Another real review from a happy Aussie broadband customer. With thousands of 5-star reviews, an award-winning NBN network and all Australian support, we're shooting for the stars. Aussie Broadband. Can't beat feedback.
Australian researchers have made a world-first discovery detecting throat cancer even before an MRI could, and they made the find using just a small sample of saliva. Erin Edwards has more.
They are calling this a light bulb moment, and with more testing and more trials, it could change the way we detect the 6th most common cancer in the world, the head and neck cancer. It's been a development 10 years in the making for Dr. Chamindi Punyadira, who has been trying to work out how saliva could be used as a screening tool for all sorts of illnesses. For 3 years, the Associate Professor from QUT and Dr. Kai Tang have focused on HPV-driven cancers in the head head and neck. They've been testing saliva samples of 600 patients. They were looking for a rise in levels of the DNA of HPV. One patient had repeated increases. After gaining ethics approval, they asked that man to see a specialist. He had no symptoms. An MRI showed nothing, but his tonsils looked a little asymmetrical. He elected to have his tonsils removed, and that's when pathologists found a 2mm cancer.
Without the saliva test, no one would have picked it up at that early stage before it spread.
We think this is one of the most significant developments that we've seen for a few decades.
It was so early he didn't need radiation or chemotherapy. He's a survivor who will never suffer from treatment like others do.
It saved the health system so much money.
The research, which has been peer-reviewed and published, is just the start. They now need $1 million to fund future trials. It's the same price as treating 4 people for head and neck cancers.
The man instrumental in stopping the redevelopment of Sydney's historic Rocks precinct, Jack Mundy, has died at the age of 90. The Unionists led the 1970s movement known as the Green Bands, with strike actions saving many historic buildings from being demolished. Mundy continued fighting against redevelopment right into his old age. He's survived by his wife, Judy. Now, during these tough times, credit cards have become even more handy to pay for the basics, but as debt mounts, so does the ability to pay it back. Providers are giving those in debt some breathing space, with some good deals on offer. Steve Titmus explains.
Good afternoon. Well, they are tempting, especially when times are tough. Australians on average have $2,909 on credit cards. Many people are opting for a balance transfer, which is moving your debt to a low or no interest credit card with or without fees.
Usually this is a year or 2 years, but right now we can see balance transfer offers in the market up to 26 months.
If used correctly, balance transfer can be a ladder out of debt.
If you're in the group where, for example, you've maxed out a card, say you've about $8,000 in credit card balance costing interest, if you transfer it to one of these cards, you can then save up to $1,500 in interest over the balance transfer period.
But there are a number of catches. Coming up on 7 News tonight at 6, we will bring you the top balance transfer credit cards. They may give you breathing space in these tough times.
A Brisbane family home has raised the bar, and it's every skateboarder's dream. Instead of a lounge room, there's a skate bowl, and it's right next to the kitchen. Even the real estate agent has given it a test run, and the home is up for auction soon. And still to come, the day's finance news with Stephen Daglian at ComSec. Also coming up, we're there as Danny the koala is returned to freedom after his long road to rehab. And how would you feel about a naked Zoom meeting? Well, the artist wanting you to strip down at home.
For your official local source of COVID-19 information and the range of support services available, go to sa.gov.au.
I have been watching you, Australia. Welcome to my brand new house. I have searched for a new breed of housemate.
I've lived in Broken Hill my whole life. With Sparky in one of the mines.
AFL didn't go the way I wanted it to go, but Big Brother is something that I know I can win.
At home, I'm my mum. At work, I'm a boss.
But nothing will prepare them for what I've got planned. I am Big Brother.
You could be in the right place at the right time. Not by chance. By choice. Somewhere you can do what you love and become who you wish to be. You can have it all at a world-class university in the heart of one of the world's most livable cities. Your place is here. Your time is now. The University of Adelaide.
Unlike most modems, Telstra's smart modem is cleverly backed up by Australia's best 4G network. So if the connection to your house stops, your home Wi-Fi won't, giving you Australia's most reliable home Wi-Fi. To experience better Wi-Fi, visit telstra.com today.
You'd never clean your surfaces with this, so why use this? Sponges can carry millions of germs. Dettol wipes kill germs instead of spreading them. Now biodegradable and compostable.
Come on.
Why build with Weeks? Because we offer a great selection of affordable house and land packages, starting from only $329,000. Compare the difference. You'll get more with Weeks.
Hi, it's Brendan Nottle from the Salvos. For 140 years, we've stood with Australians in crisis. Today, as we all rise to the challenge of this heartbreaking time, the Salvos are doing all they can to ease the pain and find a way through for the people hardest hit. You can play a powerful role. If you're able, please go to salvationarmy.org.au and give to the Red Shield Appeal now. Together, we can do this.
Your home means more than ever, and so does having the right home loan. To understand your options, go straight to Aussie. We'll help ensure you have the right loan for right now.
Welcome back to 7's Afternoon News. Now let's recap our top stories. 7 News has obtained unbelievable police video of the shocking moment an unlicensed driver recklessly struck an officer while fleeing an RBT station at Mile End. The 16 Crows players involved in the Barossa breach have each received a suspended one-match ban, with assistant coach Ben Hart stood down for 6 weeks. And life as we knew it is starting to return, with the hospitality industry allowed limited outdoor dining. Now, a mischievous koala who covered himself in dirty engine oil has finally regained his freedom. While he was recovering from his ordeal, he had his fur shaved off and was dressed in clothes, but now he's back in the bush, as Casey Trelaw reports.
Danny captured the hearts and minds of many when curiosity almost killed him 7 months ago. Instead of scaling trees, this koala found himself at the vet's in a sticky situation.
He'd gone into somebody's garage and pulled a load of oil down on himself.
The toxicity of the oil meant his furry coat had to be shaved off. The mishap earned him the name Danny, John Travolta's character from Grease, and the marsupial soon became a fashionista himself.
I bought children's dressing gowns and cut them down and rehashed them for him.
Shirts, dressing gowns, he even had his own wardrobe. But his recovery wasn't all smooth sailing.
Then he got a skin infection and he had to have medicated baths 3 times a week, and he ended up with a bowel obstruction, which the vet fortunately got on top of.
But finally today, he was released as a wild koala at a Girl Guides campground.
This is our first release spot, and then they can go in our beautiful 27-hectare campsite.
It's now hoped Danny and his little pal Charlie, who was also released today, can find some female companions.
Yeah, if there was a few girls in here, I'm sure Danny would be putting his hands up to have a girlfriend. He deserves one.
While his carers are sad to say goodbye and good luck to Danny today, they're just thrilled he can restart his life in the wild.
Good stuff indeed. Let's check finance now with Stephen Dagley in at ComSec. Good afternoon there, Steve. A very encouraging start to the week.
Good afternoon, Rosanna. Indeed it was. In fact, I'm glad the koala's okay. The market's equally okay as well today. In fact, we've just had the best week since early April, but today was the best day in a week. We rose about 1.3%. A very busy week ahead. There'll be updates on wages, on jobs as well later in the week, but investors at the moment are looking past some of the economic pain that we're probably going to see in coming weeks and months, and instead focusing more on perhaps the encouraging signs that things are slowly starting to reopen across the country and globally. So gains across the board were up today. 80% of stocks were higher. The prospect of interstate travel coming back online saw many travel stocks doing well. Companies like Webjet up 20% today. Flight Centre was up 5%. Retailers also like Kathmandu, the adventure retailer, up 15%. Adairs, JB Hi-Fi, Myer all lifting very strongly, as they did last week as well. And we also had essentially gains across the board. But buy now, pay later companies have been some of the best, and that's because People are under financial stress in part, and that certainly has seen some people using some of their services as well. So Afterpay and Zip rose very strongly. The Aussie dollar finally sitting at around 65.5 US, Rosanna.
Thank you very much, Steve. An American artist renowned for photographing large masses of people in the nude has found a new way to continue his work without breaking social distancing laws. Samantha Brett has spoken to Spencer Tunick about his latest project.
Well, in this new world, we've certainly had to adapt from virtual chats to virtual classrooms. And now this virtual world is also helping artists. It's how American photographer Spencer Tunick plans to photograph large groups of nude Australians from the comfort of their own home.
And I'm going to use different video conferencing platforms to work within grids. So 49 people, 100 people. And hopefully it'll work out.
This latest project's called Stay Apart Together. The inspiration, coronavirus quarantine.
I will orchestrate people into different positions the same way that I've done it in public space, but we're all quarantined and we're all isolated. I'm looking for people that want to make art in this time of social distancing.
You probably know Spencer Tunick's work. At times controversial, it pushes the boundaries. Famous shoots all over the world, Melbourne, Sydney and the Whitsundays. Spencer Tunick needs Australian volunteers to take their gear off. To find out how you can volunteer, tune in to 7 News at 6 o'clock.
Going to put your hand up, Nikki?
No. But...
Oh, you can't help but giggle, can you? Goodness gracious. I mean, he's done some wonderful work over the years, but I wouldn't get my gear off for that.
No,
Sorry.
It's good to see you don't have to have a perfect body to do it.
Yeah, exactly. That's another good thing about his work. So after all of that, no fine for the Crows.
Yeah, there was a real feeling that the AFL would come down so hard on the Crows, but they really haven't. Ben Hart has copped the brunt of it, and we'll have more on that shortly. Also coming up, Port Chairman David Koch explains his attack on Mick Malthouse, and could Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson step back into the ring for a third bout.
It's gonna knock you off your feet.
Tiger King shocked the world, but you only heard half the story.
Pair of snitches.
The key players uncensored.
I wish I could have done more, Tim.
Shocking footage exposed. Our burning questions answered.
He was killed.
The exclusive Tiger King. What really went down?
Shh.
Tuesday, 7:30, only on 7.
Everybody loves their country.
Well, I do love the views at Port Noarlunga.
But how about that view from Roslyn Park?
I always look forward to heading to Mawson Lakes.
Country Blinds, 30 years of making them right here and taking them just about everywhere. Country Blinds, custom-made curtains, indoor blinds, outdoor blinds and plantation shutters, and 9 mobile selection vehicles to bring it all to you. Call for a free in-home measure and quote.
Everybody loves their country.
Wish you had internet that didn't let you down? That doesn't leave you hanging? And won't have you missing any of the action? Get Vodafone NBN with 4G backup. Plans start from just $55 a month. And with free express delivery, connect instantly once you receive it. Buy online today at vodafone.com.au. Ready?
There are many names for people living in rural areas. There's Sparkies, Chippies, Fireys and Bikies. Whatever the name, it can be harsh living on the land. But Olympic Industries carports, verandas, garages and sheds are tougher than most. And if they're strong enough out here, they'll be strong enough anywhere. And now you can enjoy massive savings across our entire range. It's Olympic Industries' end of financial year sale. Don't miss out. Order now. Olympic Industries, built to last.
The Posture Care Chair Company has been making chairs locally, employing South Australians for over 40 years. Our patented comfort technology is internationally recognized in aged care seating, allowing us to build a chair to address your exact needs and guarantees you comfort like no other. Every chair is uniquely tailor-made. And right now, get $400 trade-in on your old chair. Experience the bespoke difference. The Posture Care Chair Company, the best seat in the house.
with Oil Deluxe Crisps from Red Rock Deli.
What is the world's southernmost capital city? A, Canberra. B, Santiago. C, Wellington.
New The Chase, weekdays at 5 on 7.
Hello again, and as you saw earlier, the Crows have finally received their sanction from the AFL for breaching training protocols. Let's cross back to Theo Doropoulos at Adelaide Oval, and Theo, there was no fine for the club.
It's a bit of a relief for them, Nikki. It's taken a couple of days for the AFL to make its statement. It had to be a little careful in case it made too big a rod for its own back, but effectively all players up in the Barossa have been given a one-match suspended sentence. Ben Hart has copped the brunt. He's been stood down for 6 weeks, so not as heavy a sanction as it could have been. Talk of premiership points or picks were way off the mark. That punishment wouldn't have fit the crime, but still the AFL's got its message across.
I'm sure they're very relieved, and the Victorian government is going to allow groups of 10 to train. What does that mean for the AFL?
Well, it's a step towards footy being back, which is a great relief. Now, we've already been able to do that here in South Australia. All the AFL is waiting for now, before letting all clubs resume training, is for players around the country to complete their 2-week isolation period, which is, of course, happening here in South Australia and in WA. So as soon as the AFL gives the green light for teams to train, they'll be back on the park, and we get one step closer to footy being back here in Australia. It's great news.
Won't that be good? Thank you, Theo. Well, this morning, Port Adelaide Chairman David Koch admitted he went a little bit too far, accusing Mick Malthouse of being a racist because he's against the Powers China experiment.
Malthouse has made it clear he isn't a fan of taking AFL to China, and on Saturday that stance angered Koch.
With comments like that, if it was up to Mick Malthouse, he'd bring back the White Australia policy of the 50s. Sort of, if Mick Malthouse made a comment on footy, maybe I'd give it a passing glance of attention, but when it comes to China, absolutely zero relevance whatsoever.
Collingwood great Tony Shaw also chimed in, suggesting Koch had made a gutless slur and that Malthouse was only talking about a football match.
I'm very disappointed in a bloke like David Koch for those remarks are very, very offline for a start off. They are, quite frankly, a man who's made a decision for his football club to take the money, and Koch, you can say whatever he likes. They are there for one reason only, and to deny it is ridiculous.
So I'm not sure what he doesn't get in terms of what I'm saying, because yes, it is a commercial decision. I probably took a step too far on the White Australia, but I wanted to make a point. So yes, I was coming to the defence of our Chinese strategy, but also coming to the defence of our Chinese community, saying that we have enormous links with China and we've got to foster it.
Paul Childs, 7 News.
The NRL is confident of reaching a compromise with the Queensland Government over players who refused the flu vaccination. Gold Coast stars Bryce Cartwright and Brian Kelly are waiting to learn if they'll be allowed to return to training after being stood down for saying no to the injection.
Could be resolved in a couple of days, could be weeks, and it could be they may not play for the rest of the season.
The NRL's biosecurity plan allows players who have refused the vaccination to train and play if they sign a waiver. Well, cricket now, and Australia's planned limited over tour of England in July is highly unlikely to go ahead. Prime Minister Boris Johnson says the UK's first steps out of lockdown will be extra slow. The Aussies are due to play 3 T20s followed by 3 one-dayers from July 3.
You can sit in the sun in your local park, you can drive to other destinations, you can even play sports, only with members of your own household.
Glad he cleared that up. Johnson's announcement is another hurdle for the Premier League, who are attempting to get their season up and running. And fans desperate for a football fix have welcomed the return of Korea's K-League, and they were treated to something extra special last night.
And he plays it in! Oh, what an incredible goal! Goal of the month anywhere in the world, but there's not been much competition.
Jo Chae-Wan's incredible backheel was the highlight of the first round in more than 2 months due to COVID-19 restrictions, and no doubt would have attracted attention from right around the world. All of the K-League games were played in empty stadiums. Well, US President Donald Trump has congratulated the Ultimate Fighting Championship for hosting the first major sporting event in America since the COVID-19 lockdown.
We love it. We think it's important. Get the sports leagues back. Let's play.
UFC 249 was hosted in an empty arena in Florida. Justin Gaethje defeated Tony Ferguson in the main event to claim the interim lightweight title. Well, he scoffed at offers to fight Barry Hall, Paul Gallen and Sonny Bill Williams, but there is a real challenger on the horizon for the rejuvenated Mike Tyson. 57-year-old legend Evander the Real Deal Holyfield wants a third fight against Iron Mike. Who could forget how their last bout ended back in '97 when Tyson bit off a chunk of Holyfield's ear.
4 years older than him, and it wouldn't be no problem.
53-year-old Tyson is coming out of retirement for some exhibition fights. So if that actually happens, it will be huge.
It'll be epic.
It will be epic. How happy are the Crows right now?
They would be, wouldn't they?
Yeah, get on with preparing for the season. No Ben Hart for the first 6 weeks, but they can just all move on and hopefully the AFL will map out their plan soon.
And certainly learned a lesson, haven't they? Thank you very much, Nikki. Do stay with us. Still to come on the afternoon news. Don't try this at home. Why Alec Baldwin's been drinking bleach. And after a beautiful autumn day, Amelia will be here to tell us what's on the horizon.
People thought we were absolutely bonkers. It was a bit of a snap decision on my part.
They never imagined their home would get a reaction like this.
Oh, I do like to be wowed.
Oh, wow.
Ridiculously sophisticated.
Oh, wow.
Let me have a look at your wow face.
Wow.
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 Wow. Wow factor.
But the real wow will be the scores.
It's a 9. A 9.
It's a 9.
We have joint leaders. Wow.
I think we have wow.
Only one can win. Who will it be? On House Rules, tonight 7:30.
Want trusted skincare for your family's sensitive skin? Try the Cetaphil 1 litre range from Chemist Warehouse. Cetaphil gently cleanses, hydrates and protects even the most sensitive skin. Plus it's free from soap and fragrances so it won't sting your eyes. 9 out of 10 regular users recommend Cetaphil. At Chemist Warehouse, Cetaphil Gentle Skin Cleanser 1 litre is $14.99. Love your sensitive skin with Cetaphil. Live, look, feel well at Chemist Warehouse.
Beat the cold at Harvey Norman with the best in heating and air treatment solutions. Stay warm this winter with our range of ceramic, radiant and fan heaters, convection, column and panel heaters, the latest in gas and electric flame effect models, heated throws and electric blankets, plus a huge range of reverse cycle air conditioners. Treat the air quality in your home with everything from air purifiers to humidifiers. Harvey Norman has all the big brands at great prices. Visit us in store or online. Harvey Norman, your heating and air treatment specialist.
As credit to you, here's up to $120 credit from us. Add any selected month-to-month mobile plan with Vodafone and get the credit you deserve over 12 months. Find out more at vodafone.com.au. Ready?
South Australia, we should be proud of the way we've come together in the fight against COVID-19. From May 11, restrictions are being eased on regional travel and some outdoor activities and public gatherings, including sports training, auctions and worship. The current advice of no more than 1 person per 4 square metres and a maximum limit of 10 people still applies. To find out more, visit sa.gov.au today. Keeping SA safe and strong.
Could you answer this question without using Google?
What is the world's southernmost capital city? A. Canberra. B. Santiago. C. Wellington.
Can you beat them to the answer?
I'll be going home with the money.
New The Chase, coming up next on 7.
This weather report brought to you by Bridgestone Select for tyres and car servicing.
It seems like everything around us has been turned upside down.
Stage 1 of 3 risky stages.
We need a place to turn to for answers.
To breaking news now and
all the facts.
Crows did keep a very low profile.
We'll once again see diners eating outdoors. The advice from health authorities hasn't changed.
What you need to know now to be right for tomorrow.
COVID-19 restrictions to be eased in South Australia.
Turn to 7 News.
Good afternoon, it's Savannah here with a check of your roads, and unfortunately we do have a burst water main works happening in Windsor Gardens on North East Road near Darley Road, so please drive safely through there. Then works in Stirling are causing delays on the freeway near the Stirling ramp. It is affecting both directions, so you will need a fair bit of patience through there. Want to learn an instrument while you're stuck at home? Search Global Music Revolution for guitars, keyboards, drums and home recording gear now. Order online at globalmusicrevolution.com.au. Thanks, and back to you, Rosanna.
Thank you, Savannah. Now, actor Alec Baldwin has returned to Saturday Night Live for a hilarious send-up of Donald Trump. He shared some life lessons in a mock valedictory speech to the class of COVID-19.
I started as the son of a simple, wealthy slumlord and grew to become a billionaire, a president, and the world's leading expert on infectious diseases.
He also impersonated the president drinking bleach, which doctors have warned against. Of course, do not try that at home, folks. Let's get a check of the weather now. And Amelia, we've had plenty of sunshine today, haven't we?
Rosanna, it's a good way to make a Monday manageable. A bit of sunshine and a chance to get out and about this afternoon. So plenty of that, although tomorrow afternoon's looking a little different. For now, clear skies led to a cool night. We dipped to a low of 8.5 degrees in the city just after 7 this morning. It was even colder about the mid-north. Clare dropped to 1 degree. Today we hit a top of 17.6 with top temperatures staying below 22 degrees statewide. Right now it's still around 17 degrees in the city. Melbourne and Sydney are both sitting at around 16, while in Canberra just 11 degrees after a low of -3 there today, as a high pressure system dominates much of the weather around the country today, keeping skies clear across the south and east. We're looking to a cold front that'll cross the south of the state tomorrow before another high pressure system moves in. So conditions are looking far across our far north tomorrow. 21's the forecast top for Coober Pedy, Roxby Downs, Murray and Moomba. It's looking fine in Renmark as well. 20 degrees is the forecast top there, with showers likely over areas south of Elliston, across to Clare to Lameroo. More likely, of course, about the southeast KI and the hills. Mount Gambier could see anywhere from 5 to 10 millimetres tomorrow. 16's the forecast top there. 20 for Murray Bridge, 19 for Victor Harbour, 18 for Kingscote and Nuriutpa. Fine about the mid-north and Flinders, but expect a chilly start there again. Down to 5 degrees tonight in Clare. 16's the top, with a shower or two, and 20 for Port Lincoln. And strong winds are forecast with that cold front about the lower southeast coast tomorrow as well. In the city, down to 10 degrees overnight, and that's about average for this time of year. The day will get off to a nice start, but we are expecting showers to develop later with that front. They could deliver a couple of millimetres into the evening. Now, from there, the rest of the week is looking much cooler, so we will need to crack out those winter woolies, Rosanna. It's the time of year.
Certainly is. It really is settling in, isn't it? Thank you, Amelia. And that's all from the afternoon news team. Jane will, of course, have our next bulletin at 6. From me, it's bye for now.
Who is that anyway?
I don't know. He's a bit of a troublemaker.
Walk away, Tani. I ain't going anywhere.
Look who lands in the bay.
Darkness is coming. He brings trouble.
He's your brother.
I'm glad you're here. I'm glad I'm here too.
Is his past catching up with him?
Who's your new friend?
He's no friend.
Is he really that bad?
Tane's caught up in a life when it landed me in jail, and my brother did.
I didn't come here to make trouble. I came here to make sure my family was okay.
So, how's everything going?
Heaps better now you're here. Watch it.
Worried I'm going to steal your girl. I'll land on my feet as always, so I ain't going anywhere. You're seeing him anyway.
Actually, I'm not seeing you. Not that that's any of your business.
Maybe I'll see you around, yeah?
Yeah, maybe.
No matter where you go, you're gonna get heavy weather.
Home and away. Tonight at 7 on 7.
These four strangers must work as a team to win thousands of dollars, but standing